He says the musicians union have forbidden me to play saxophone on the video as I obviously hadn't done so on the record. But I saw a candelabra on the piano at the shoot, and I put a mouthpiece on the central candle holder and played it. And the impact of the video came home when, during the next few British gigs, kids pulled out candelabras from nowhere and began playing them during the sax solo in Rat Trap.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another installment of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy, that's John, and it's time to dig into some business here. So, John, what are you going to be offering me to go off and listen to on this fine day?
So this song cropped up a couple of months ago on my radar. I thought, oh, it's one of those that probably you might not have heard of. So the band are the Boomtown Rats.
Yeah, that doesn't ring any bells.
Excellent. So the song is Rat Trap.
Okay. Rat Trap. All right. Well, rats and rat. This isn't the first time we've dipped into some rats lately. So let me go off, give this thing a go, and I will let you know what I've made of it. Chuggy, chuggy guitar. This is fun. Love that bass.
There was a lot of rocking going on that night. Cruising time for the young bright lights. Just down past the gas works by the meat factory door, the Five Lamb Boys were coming on strong. The Saturday night city beat had already started, and the pulse of the corner boys just sprang into action. And young Billy watched under the yellow street light and said, "Tonight, up all night. It's gonna be a fight."
Yeah, it sounds like he's portraying this area or town that is a little rough around the edges, and this our main character here is witnessing what sounds like is the lead up to some sort of altercation or scrap. God damn, this music is infectious, though, is it not? Whew.
Billy don't like it living here in this town. He said, traps have been sprung long before he was born. He said, hope as the dust behind all the closed doors, and pus and grime ooze from its scab-dusted sword. Just screaming and crying in the high-rise block. It's a rat trap, Billy, but you're already caught. Hey, you can make it if you wanna, or you need it bad enough. You're young and good looking, and you're acting kinda tough anyway. It's Saturday night time.
I'm sorry, I know it sounds like the chorus is about to kick off here, but yeah, I think we got a little bit of confirmation there. Like, it's this area that lends itself to this idea of just getting stuck in the rat trap. Just kind of working to get by, just to keep your head barely above water, but to not really enjoy the swim. But the music is so fun and playful, which is an interesting juxtaposition to the narrative, a narrative that is, sadly, I think more universal than we probably think, and not exclusive to whatever area this is that Billy is from. There's parts all over the world that are like this, if not worse. But it's the one line about Billy. You're young enough and good looking enough to get out of this, which is shitty news for all the the plain homely folks out there that don't have the looks to get them out, or even perhaps the youth to see them through and out of this situation. It's kind of funny and cynical, but nonetheless, yeah, let's press on.
See what's going down, put on the right suit, head for the right side of town. It's only 8 o'clock, but you're already bored. You don't know what it is, but there's gotta be more. You better find a way out. Hey, kick down that door. It's a rat trap, and you've been caught.
I like that a lot. I don't know where the hell his lower half is, though. It's stuck on the piano. I don't know if it's because this is like piano-driven like rock music, and maybe this is just my own correlation that I do in my head when I hear that kind of music. But there's parts of this, just little snippets here and there, are reminding me of like I think I've said this before, not too far off in the past. Kind of reminds me of Elton John music, you know what I mean? Where that punchy piano is just stabbing away, and it's so hooky and earwormy, which Elton John was a master at capturing, you know, that in his music. So maybe that's what it is. But this also is, I'm not trying to say it's like a carbon copy or that this isn't an original piece. It's actually really quite infectious, and I like it a lot.
In this town, Billy says everybody's trying to tell you what to do. In this town, Billy says everybody says you gotta follow rules. You walk up to the traffic lights, you switch if you left your right, you push in that button and that button goes that lane. It's just walk to walk to walk, talk to talk, talk to talk, walk to walk to walk, talk to talk, talk to talk. Hey, Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk.
Johnny.
Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. Hey, Billy, take a walk with me. Take me on that Mississippi. Swing high, swing free. Oh, little Judy's trying to watch Top of the Pops, but Mom and Dad are fighting, don't they ever stop? She takes off her coat and walks down to the street. It's cold on the road, but it's got that home beat. Deep down in her pocket, she finds 50 feet. Is that way for the younger to be? I'm gonna get out of school and work in a film factory. Work all the hours God gave me. Give myself a little easy movement and then
Hold on, this is interesting. So now we're talking about a Judy who sounds like she was at home, but there was some domestic dispute between her parents going on, and she wanted to get rid of that, or rid herself of that, and went out to these cold, downtrodden, seemingly anyway, streets. And she's digging around in her pocket and only finds 50p, which I can only imagine, even at this time, was not a lot of money. Doesn't sound like it. And, you know, dreams, you know, I guess envisions that she will get out of school and get a job working at a factory, which only furthers this, you know, the cyclicality of all of this, you know, humdrum working class cycle that can't be broken, where, you know, you go to school and then you get a job that pays maybe just enough to keep the electric on, and your bills paid, but not anything beyond that to really enjoy. Like, you know, you make a living but you don't make enough to live, type situation to really like live life. And I assume, you know, I think I safely assume that is kind of the rat trap that is the overall kind of crux of the matter, right, that they find themselves in. Interesting stuff. Let me pull that back a little bit.
work in a film factory. Work all the hours God gave me. Give myself a little easy movement and her mind's made up. She walks down the road, her hands in her pocket, coat button gets
All right, and then it fades out. Yeah, I mean, this had just plenty of attributes that I'm sure John was aware that I would be drawn to. I mean, between that killer sax line, the amazing bass work throughout this, and just the overall, message that kind of resonates with the blue collar or working class demographic, which I'm always, for shedding light on, narratives surrounding that kind of life and situation. So this had everything going for it. It was fun and playful, but also in its own way quite serious, especially from like a lyrical standpoint. This idea of just wanting to break this cycle and get out from what oftentimes is generations of just the same repeated steps. You want to spread your wings and go farther and become something more than what you came from. And I think for the most part, everybody wants that for their children or for the next generation, to kind of continue their way up a ladder rather than finding themselves on a hamster wheel, just going through the motions. The music, man, was really fun and playful. And yes, there were times where I was reminded a bit of Elton John, but there was so much other stuff happening as well, and at other times. I mean, that's not my overall sentiment about the song. It was just these little seconds of music that kind of reminded me of that. The singer himself had a bit of this sax-wielding Mick Jagger swagger to him as well, which I thought was kind of funny. And they all, I mean, loads of personality out of this group of fellas. The saxophone candelabra part really had me laughing, as well as the kind of half disembodied bass player seemingly jutting out of the piano. I don't know if I missed that, but that's what it looked like. But yeah, this is a really fun listen. I enjoyed this a lot, actually. Yeah, interested to learn more. I could see this song resonating. It says 1978, and John and I have talked about the political and economic situation around this time, and then moving into the 80s, not dissimilar from what we experienced here in the States, even though it predates me. I'm well aware of everything from the gas lines all the way into the sort of deregulated 80s that drew a larger gap between certain classes of people and their incomes. It was a boom period for Wall Street, but Main Street got hit really hard during that time. And I remember John talking about the gulf between the working class North and the South of England during this time, and what would become the Thatcher period, and all that stuff. So there's some similarities that I can correlate between his homeland at that time and mine. And I think this song probably resonated with a lot of people during that time in similar situations, scenarios, and geographic areas as our main characters here illustrated in this track. So all that's really interesting too. It has this like historical pertinence to it, as well as just being of fun to listen to music, example of music, you know what I mean? So for all of those reasons, I really enjoyed this track, and I can't wait to learn more. So let's do that by getting back to our buddy John.
Grace Brothers Department Store is back. So you've had to listen to Rat Trap by the Boomtown Rats. What do you reckon?
Oh man, Uh, I'm almost, I don't know if I should be ashamed of this or not, but I had so much fucking fun with this track. This was a lot,
Exactly.
this was a
Exactly.
lot of fun. Um, so yeah, some muted guitar chugs kick off the track before being accompanied by these tinkling keynotes before a glissando and the snare herald in the rest of the band. And we get treated to rich sounds of saxophone soaring over the top of a much fuller sounding motif at this point. So you're already checking the one box. This, you know, I'm a sucker for some saxophone, and this just sounds wonderful. Then, for just a moment, the music falls out back to this like slight hush as the whole band, save for the bass, cuts out, and those musicians, being um, uh, with added finger snaps from these other musicians that are kind of like a timekeeping mechanism there. So yeah, you're not checking another box because you could probably guess that I'm going to say next here, and that is I fucking love the bass work here. This is great. It has this slightly swinging movement to it that is quite rhythmically grooving. So yeah, sax, bass, check, check. I'm loving it. It would appear, thanks to the video, that the sax man is also pulling vocal duties in this track. And his approach has more than just a bit of that spoken word style, but it still maintains this kind of inflection that makes it less cold and sort of apathetic, like many other examples of spoken word delivery can. So I'm liking it. He's got this kind of like cool guy rock star thing going for him. He's got a bit of that Mick Jagger swagger, also, I have to say. But go on.
You don't know who the lead singer is.
I don't. He looks familiar to me, but I can't put my finger on it.
All will be revealed.
Oh, great. Awesome. I'm probably going to be like, duh. But yeah, I couldn't put my finger. There was this familiarity, but I also chalked it up to, oh, he just looks like your quintessential British thin rock star of that time or era. So I'm sure I'll have an epiphany and you'll help me along to it. And by the second verse, the band begins reintroducing some instrumentation into the soundscape with drums and keys reemerging on the scene. And judging from what I have half gathered here in the first few stanzas, there's some sort of group or gang confrontation unfolding on a Saturday night. And according to our source, it's down past the gasworks near the meat factory, which for some reason instantly made me think of is it Red Right Hand, where he's like talking, he's describing down by, with a wire and all, and I was just like, oh, these locales could easily fit into that sort of motif that they're describing, which is interesting because uh, visages of working class blue collar towns comes to mind in that song, and this is obviously citing examples of or things that you might encounter in a working class area as well. So interesting stuff. There's also some allusion to hope dying and some pretty grim imagery of pus and grime oozing from sores or some shit like that. And I would advise getting that checked out by a doctor, though I do imagine in this use it's being implemented as sort of a metaphor for the city's infection of maybe crime, ne'er-do-wells, and perhaps the poverty that allows all of these things to thrive. Further narrative seems to only underscore the likelihood of this being the case, with the titular line coming in as he sings, "It's a rat trap, Billy. You're already caught." But the singer seems to suggest young Billy might have a ticket out of the cesspool, given his youth and good looks, which kind of made me laugh too, because like what I guess all the homely and ugly people in the town are just fucked. Like, that, sorry, you're over a certain age and it's hard to look at you. So you are firmly planted here, roots and all. And during the stanza, where he opens up with "Anyway, it's Saturday night," and ending with "and you've been caught," I sort of get this. This happens a couple times throughout the song, and just for brief snippets. And I think I've mentioned this recently in another reaction that's been offered up, but there's this Elton John vibe to the music here. And I don't know if it's like the punchy piano, where it's like this balance of piano, guitar, rock that Elton John was like a savant at creating. You know what I mean? These lively, punchy guitar lines or piano lines that accompany guitar so well. So yeah, this rollicky, punchy feel definitely screams Mr. John to me. And also, this portion wraps up with the singer singing, "It's a rat trap and you've been caught." We get after that, we get this nice bit of bouncy back and forth slap and pluck bass work marking a transition in the song. And I swear to God, it looked like the bass player was like disembodied from the waist down and emerging from a piano. I couldn't make out his lower half at all, so I was kind of had a laugh at that. I mean, there were a lot of they had a lot of fun with this video, even though thematically it's about something a bit more serious than the fun that juxtaposed the fun that they're having in the video. But nonetheless, it made me laugh. The keys come scurrying in over top like a late arrival trying to make a flight. And soon the beat and the guitar playing join as well. And the skittish motif on the guitar is great. It's weird. There's something both campy and unsettling about this guitar motif, but whatever it is, I'm oddly drawn to its quirky nature. And now we are in the throes of this vocal call and response portion throughout, which are, where we're treated to repetitions of walk, don't walk, talk, don't talk. So a bunch of these contradictory call and response lines. And again, for the second time in fairly short period of time, I'm reminded again of the works of Elton John as we transition to this portion where they repeat the "Hey Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk." I think again this can be chalked up to the movement of the piano during this portion. The song then explodes back into the first proper full band motif from earlier in the tune with the soaring sax. And the enduring stanza addresses the character Judy and her plight in this town, where she finds the cold, seemingly downtrodden streets more welcoming than the domestic strife she encounters at home. She's trying to watch Top of the Pops and her parents get into an argument or whatever, and she says, "I'm going to go beat street and get out of here." She seems resigned to the idea of her fate, leaving school for a factory job so she can you go from having next to no money, an allusion to the 50p she found in the depths of her pocket, to having, I don't know, just enough money, next to none to a less paltry sum of pocket money, and in doing so, using up all of the hours that God has given her. The movement of the piano in the next portion has this circular swirling melody to it that I find draws me further into the sound and the narrative. And in this bit of the narrative, she encounters a drunk Billy sipping coffee to seemingly sober up. And during this exchange, he tells her, as the music cuts out for dramatic effect, that it's a rat trap and they've all been caught. This gives way to a guitar-driven portion and another dash of glissando on the keys as the band jams out to this repeated refrain of "In a rat trap, you've been caught," as it slowly fades to completion. So, yeah, the music of this tune was full of fun, energy, and plenty of musical movements and transitions to keep it fresh throughout. Meanwhile, the lyrics paint this picture of what life is often like in, again, these blue-collar working-class towns that are underserved at best or straight up neglected at worst, which creates amongst many of its residents this feeling of being caught in a rat trap, where you work to live but never truly end up living a life that works for them. I would imagine that not only at this time, but even periods since, even right now, these sentiments are widely held, and certain segments of the population, and that they transcend even the country from which the song was born. I mean, I know that there are plenty of areas in this country that have felt like that throughout time and currently. So yeah, I really enjoyed the rollicking nature of the music and the messaging and the lyrics. So please, John, tell me more about this track and the mysterious aura of the candelabra / saxophone playing frontman.
Okay, so this came up, I think, 2 or 3 months ago on a repeat of Top of the Pops episode from 1978. And I just thought, oh, I haven't heard this in ages, and this is such a good song. And it's not a groundbreaker, and it's just a real good, feel good, real full of life song.
Yeah, it is.
And I just hoped you hadn't heard it, and you haven't, which is great. So, the Boomtown Rats, they are an Irish band formed in Dublin in 1975. And they are described as new wave. power pop and pub rock. They kind of came out of that murky sort of bit in between pub rock and punk. They weren't really punk, but they sort of it all came up a bit like sort of Stranglers weren't really punk either, and Dr. Feelgood, but they sort of came up and rose at that time. Um, so the guy you saw singing was initially the manager of the band, and the band's first name was the Nightlife Thugs, but they changed it to Boomtown Rats, taken from the name of Woody Guthrie's boyhood gang from his autobiography. And then your man took over lead vocals. So the personnel are Pete Briquette, bass vocals, Jerry Cott, guitar, Johnny Fingers, keyboards, vocals, Simon Crowe, drums, vocals, Gary Roberts, guitar, vocals, Alan Holmes, saxophone, and Sir Bob Geldof, vocals. You may have heard of him. He's the guy who organised Band Aid and Live Aid and all the stuff towards Ethiopia. I don't know if that's come across to your side of the pond.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the inner machinations of who, developed it and all that, but I'm aware of it. Yeah. I just didn't know
It was
that.
him.
Okay, yeah. So I guessed when
And then he got a mate called Midge from Ultravox, and the two of them created Band Aid and the single. Midge wrote most of it actually, and Bob Geldof got on the phone and got all the people to turn up to make that song. And then Bob Geldof's idea was to have Live Aid. So yeah, he dedicated a lot, and he then became, even though he's Irish, he became Sir Bob Geldof and all the machinations for that. So yeah, his musical career really was in the rearview mirror. But anyway, back to the Boomtown Rats. So their first single, Looking After Number One, was released in August 1977, after a year of touring, including a support slot with Tom Petty. It reached the top 40 of the UK charts, going in at number 11. And their first album, The Boomtown Rats, was released the following month. Their second album, A Tonic for the Troops, 1978. The first single from that, She's So Modern, reached number 12 in the UK charts. She's so modern, she's so 20th century. That's the line, which is sounds really charming now, doesn't it? Man? In 1978, it was really cool. She's a modern girl. Oh yeah. Anyway, headlining tour across the UK, culminating the show filmed at their Hammersmith Odeon. More on that later. The second single was Like Clockwork, which reached number 6 in the UK in July. And the album was released just after that. And then in November, their third single, Rat Trap, became the first rock song by an Irish band to reach number 1 in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
in addition, the Rat Trap was also the first new wave song to claim the number 1 spot in the UK as well. 78. I don't think there would have been a new wave band hitting number 1 in America in 78. No way.
Yeah.
Closer you get something like Blondie or whatever after, but a couple of years later, sort of Rapture or whatever. Anyway, so the song was written by Bob Geldof in 1973 while he was working in an abattoir. Now, I guess it was partly autobiographical. Now, the song replaced Summer Nights by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John from Grease, which had held the top spot for 7 weeks. So when the band performed on Top of the Pops, which is also mentioned in the song, as the UK new number 1, the band members began at the start by tearing up pictures of John Travolta and Newton-John to emphasise the fact that the pair, who had spent a total of 16 out of the preceding 22 weeks at the top of the charts with Summer Nights and You're the One That I Want. So it's huge, Grace, that they've been deposed. Geldof mimed the saxophone part on a candelabra, a jest that he explained in his autobiography. Is that it? He says, the Musicians Union have forbidden me to play saxophone on the video, as I obviously hadn't done so on the record. But I saw a candelabra on the piano at the shoot, and I put a mouthpiece on the central candle holder and played it. And the impact of the video came home when, during the next few British gigs, kids pulled out candelabras from nowhere and began playing them during the sax solo in Rat Trap. And I'm thinking right in saying here, I'm not 100%, but I think I am, that in those days, they wouldn't have made a promotional video for this song.
Yeah.
They would have released a song, got to number 1. Wow. Then they go and make a video. So that's why in it he actually makes a big thing about the candelabra after he started playing it and shows it to the camera, and that's referring back to Top of the Pops and all that, which referred to in the songs. So it's a cyclical sort of thing, which is really cool.
It's also interesting that's the way the videos were done then. Like you had to reach success in order to earn a video, whereas in just a few years, fast forward a few
No
years,
MTV.
yeah, of course, right, of course. But in just a few years, the idea of making a video would be something that would bolster
Yeah.
the track and the single to higher numbers, not a reward
Yes.
for having reached them already. That's it, yeah. But you're right. It's totally the advent of the video star versus the radio star. So
As Buggles would say, yes.
yeah.
So the lyrics. Now they start off with his version of West Side Story. There's a lot
Yes,
of
that's
rocking going
exactly
on.
what I was envisioning too. The only reason I dodged it is because this fucking guy hates theater. So I was
But
like,
it's comical in a way because it's a Dublin version, so it's a bit seedy, and there's gasworks in the meat factory on the tops of the roof with the sort of escaping vapor as they go la 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 America or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, the sharks and the jets in there. There was a lot of rocking going on that night. Cruising time for the young bright lights. Just down past the gasworks by the meat factory door, the 5 lamp boys were coming on strong. The Saturday night city beat had already started, and the pulse of the corner boys just sprang into action. And young Billy watched by the yellow street light and said, "Tonight, of all nights, there's going to be a fight." Do, 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 do. Billy don't like it living here in this town. He says the traps have been sprung long before he was born. He says hope bites the dust behind all the closed doors, and pus and grime ooze from its scab-crusted sores. The screaming and crying in the high-rise blocks. It's a rat trap, Billy, but you're already caught. And you can make it if you wanna, or if you need it bad enough. You're young and good looking, and you're acting kind of tough. Anyway, it's Saturday night. Time to see what's going down. Put on the bright suit, Billy. Head for the right side of town. It's only 8 o'clock, but you're already bored. You don't know what it is, but there's got to be more. You better find a way out. Hey, kick down the door. It's a rat trap, and you've been caught. In this town, Billy says, everybody's trying to tell you what to do. In this town, Billy says, everybody says you've got to follow the rules. You walk up to these traffic lights. You switch from your left to right. You push in that button, and that button comes a light. It says, walk, don't walk. Walk, don't walk. Talk, don't talk. Talk, don't talk. Walk, don't walk. Walk, don't walk. Talk, don't talk. Talk, don't talk. Hey, Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. Hey, Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. Billy, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. Hey, Billy, take a walk with me. Take a walk that leads to me. Swing high, swing free. And then we get a sax solo. That's Candelabra. And back in. I hate to say this, but it's almost a little bit Springsteen-ish, isn't it, as well? Anyway.
Another comparison I avoided, but the storytelling and the blue collar working class plight and all of this stuff definitely conjured in me this, British, or in this case Irish, Springsteen mentality for sure.
Yeah. When he's big, with the whole Bay Street Band and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, little Judy's trying to watch Top of the Pops, but Mum and Dad are fighting. Don't they ever stop? She takes off her coat and walks down into the street. It's cold on that road, but it's got that home beat. Deep down in her pocket, she finds 50p. Hey, is that any way for a young girl to be? I'm going to get out of school, work in some factory. Work all the hours God give me. Get myself a little easy money. Now. My mind's made up. She walks down the road. Hands in her pockets, coat button against the cold. She finally finds Billy down at the Italian cafe. And when he's drunk, it's hard to understand what Billy says. But then he mumbles in his coffee and he suddenly roars, "It's a rat trap, Judy!" And we've been caught. Guitar. And then, as you say, finishes rat trap, you've been caught. In a rat trap, you've been caught. In a rat trap, you've been caught. Repeat, and slowly fade out. So yeah, huge success. And I remember at the time when they came on, it was a big deal that there was a new wave band and an Irish band hitting the #1 spot. It was almost like a celebration. And I remember that episode of watching it live as an 8-year-old, that Top of the Pops episode, and it was quite something. Then the following single, I think it was the following single, it probably was, called "I Don't Like Mondays." I don't know if have you heard of that song?
Give me it sounds familiar, that name.
Yeah, it's quite. You may not actually. And I'll tell you why. So that was released in July 1979, following year, and it also reached #1 in the UK. The song was written in response to, at the time, there was a very strange and unusual event. It was a school shooting in California, and it
Oh,
became a worldwide
really?
top 10 hit, except for the United States. Didn't like it. It was the band's only song to reach the US Billboard Hot 100, and it was included in their third album, The Fine Art of Surfacing, released in November of that year, 79. So yeah, it goes on, but apparently the response to these kids who showed up at school was why, and they said it's because I don't like Mondays. That was it. But yeah, it's a really interesting. I might just dig that out because I'm actually thinking about it. You may not have heard of it. You might have done, but anyway.
Well, I mean, we'll run with it, and I'll let you and the
Yeah,
audience know
it's
if
an
I've heard it
interesting
before.
song. It's an
Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
song.
Regardless, I'm sure it's been a minute since I have heard it, if I've heard it. So, all the more reason.
Cool. In December 1980, Banana Republic was released, which was their last top 10 hit, reaching #3. Subsequent releases paddled around in the shallow end of the charts. In 1982, Geldof appeared in the film Pink Floyd The Wall, directed by Alan Parker. He's the main character in it. So if you're that horrible when he shaves his eyebrows and it's all blinking, yeah. In 1984, the band were touring universities after becoming unable to fund the guarantee required to book mainstream concert halls. So that's how much they dropped down in the space of 2 years. The album In the Long Grass, their fifth album, was released in May 84 but failed to chart. Then at this point, the Boomtown Rats' involvement with Band Aid, in which they all played, raised their profile again. And in January 85, a revised version of In the Long Grass was finally released in the US, and the album made the US charts at number 188. But the singles failed to make any impact on the charts. And the band did perform at Live Aid. After Live Aid, the band was on a hiatus while Geldof focused on the Band Aid Trust and the charity there and organising it. And the band's final performance came at Self Aid, which is a concert in May 1986 at the RDS in Dublin to raise awareness of unemployment in Ireland. Following this performance, Geldof addressed the crowd saying, "It's been a great 10 years, rest in peace." And following the band's breakup, Geldof launched a solo career. Anyway.
That says it all.
And I remember him appearing on TV shows when he says, "I don't want to talk about Band Aid anymore. Can we talk about my new music?" And they were just asking about how many millions he's raised for Africa and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Anyway, Bob Geldof, Gary Roberts, Pete Brookett, and Simon Crowe reunited as the Boomtown Rats in 2013. Geldof said, "Playing again with the Rats and doing all these great songs again will be an exciting fresh. We were an amazing band, and I just felt it's the right time to re-rat, to go back to Boomtown for a visit." Surprise, surprise, in June 2013, it was announced the band would be embarking on a UK and Ireland tour, supported by a new compilation album, Back to Boomtown, Classic Rats Hits. In March 2020, they released a new album, Citizens of Boomtown. And in 2025, the Boomtown Rats reformed for a 12-day 50th anniversary tour of the UK. A 2-album compilation on vinyl and CD, The First 50 Years, Songs of Boomtown Glory, was released on 19th of September 2025. So it's not long ago. And I think, if memory serves me correct, I think I caught, perhaps it was a recording, but I think they played, Jules Holland does a thing every year called the Hootenanny. Now, he used to do it live up until, I don't know, but they've started recording it now. They've done the last 10, 15 years. There were lots of guests in. And I'm sure they played, I'm sure it was a version of Rat Trap. And it was fairly poor, I thought, watching it. I remember that. And he looked like the ghost of Miss Havisham or something, trying to sing away. Bless him. Because it must be like 70 something. Yeah. And just but that takes nothing away from this, which is a fantastic song, and it's one of these ones it's a weird song because in 1978, and coming out this sort of pub rocky, punky type new wave thing, you don't expect a song like this that's so bustling with energy and oomph and all that, and the sax solos, but it's great. I think it's just great song.
Yeah, it is. A lot of
Cool.
fun.
All right. Well, I will dig up I Don't Like Mondays, and we'll get into that at some point this year. It'll be very interesting. Now you know the story behind it as well. And the video, if I can get the video of that, because that's really interesting as well. I remember that. Yeah. Anyway, I will wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Sort of the first exposure to the Boomtown Rats. Folks out there, tell us what you think. If you like this, please hit the like button and do drop some comments. Perhaps you can remember watching that episode of Top of the Pops in 1978 as well, and were you as excited as everybody else with them hitting the top spot? It did feel like a kind of a new beginning. But yeah, that may be just my 8-year-old mind playing tricks on me. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you think about it. And if you haven't subscribed already, how else are you going to get out of the old rat trap? Please do. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. Yeah, hop on board. And free entrance to the meatworks. That being said, thanks again so much for watching. I will see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.